life is only a zero-sum game, and business is only a zero-sum game if we choose to make it. It doesn't mean we can't be competitive. It doesn't mean that we're not driven to be the best of who we are. It means that we can still win by doing it the right way and being good and thinking about how we can be good citizens in the world.
Vivek Saran, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Belle Tires.
I am an accidental marketer. That's not what I went to school with. It was not my ambition. My first career was in government. I actually worked on Capitol Hill for a couple of different members of Congress, and then I just didn't find the passion in doing it. And so I joined, at that time, one of the oldest agencies in Kansas City, Harmon Smith. From there, I joined VML for a while, and then went from a couple of other different agencies, and then landed and found my home at Mark USA. I joined Belle Tire about 4 years ago. It's about 100 years old, one of the largest regional tire and service retailers in the United States. They were my client before I joined them, and they'd never had a chief marketing officer, and I was helping them with strategic thinking, not just from an advertising perspective, but from an innovation perspective, from a pricing perspective, from a technology perspective, and how we were going to be proactive in maintaining our relationship with customers. And then after conversations, the question came up, well, how would we find somebody like you to help to be your collaborator? Would you ever consider me?
Right.
And it's been a great experience ever since. It's been a lot of fun. Listen more than you think. If you think more and you listen more, and you ground your arguments and your hypotheses on facts and observations, listening doesn't necessarily mean just talking to them. Look at the data, look at the behavior, understand what's happening, understand paradigms, structures, and how do you bring them to life. And that was my strength in the agency world, because the clients wanted us to find a solution. How do you describe that solution, map that solution out, and then bring it to life? And frankly, as a marketer on the client side now, that's what I'm tasked with doing. What is our go-to-market goals and objectives, and how do we build that? And how do we have the foresight to drive business today? Because marketers get fired if you don't drive the business today.
Right.
But the ability to structure it in a way that 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you've been evolving along the way so that your pivot and adaptation to changes in consumer behavior or advances in technology or competitive threats, you're able to do it more nimbly and more cost effectively because you've been planning that along the way. The one challenge we have that's an interesting challenge that most of your audience and clients and connections probably don't have is we're a grudge purchase. And it's instead of hiding from that, we view it as an opportunity because there's always an exception. Every time I ask this question, there's always an exception. But Joe, if I said, congratulations, today you get to spend $1,500 on tires, my guess is that you can think of 1,500 other things you'd rather spend that money on than tires. And so that's our challenge. And it's not about hiding from it. It's not about pretending that we can do something better than anybody else can do. But it's really understanding that emotional decision-making, understanding that angst. Why is it a grudge? And then building a relationship, and I'm going to define a relationship a little bit differently than everybody else, building a relationship that's about it being a support and a resource that they can trust and give them peace of mind that when they do need us, we're going to get them back on the road fast and affordably. And how do we demonstrate that between life cycles of anywhere from 2 to 5 years? My children, when you start to really understand the human behavior, way people think, and then you start to understand how to become a better parent, I learned that over those 5 years, I became a better manager. I became a better motivator. I became a better friend. I became a better marketer. Because all of a sudden, I was able to be vulnerable to understand that I didn't know how to solve these things. And if I paid better attention to listening and I understood the behavior a little bit better, and I started to better connect, that's where I got a lot of inspiration. Listening and don't be arrogant. The other one is we're all teachers and coaches. Walk the walk. I can't expect people to follow me if they don't think I'm willing to do the work myself. And the last one is, how do you do this in a way without being the star or center of attention, but still yet inspiring or sparking inspiration. I'm going to talk about what happened during the pandemic because I think it was one of my greatest learning lessons and a very successful story. What we decided to do, and I learned this from a lot of other marketers over the years, we have a choice. We're definitely going to cut costs to get through the initial pain, but we could either hide and wait for the world to get back normal, or we could double down, drive even harder, invest even more, and steal market share when everything gets back normal. And that's what we chose as a business to do. And that's what we chose as a marketing group to do. So we invested. The good news is we were already doing a lot of experience. We knew what we wanted to do. We put things on pause, but we weren't worrying about it. We knew that if we did it, we could recoup what we had lost and perhaps surpass that. And so we doubled down and we invested. We were brave. We challenged it. We spent 60 days beating ourselves up, figuring out what was the right plan to put in place, when would be the right optimal time to do it, how would we do it, how would we double down. And what I'm proud to say is that when we did do it, we increased market share in every single market that we were in, and we've not looked back.